You really need to talk to the folks here at Next Level. I've got to tell you, just speaking to the people here, they are fired up, they get it, they've got the right balance, and they're all increasing their income, they're increasing their production.
But you're dealing with people that are in the trenches dealing with this are practitioners, had failures, had successes, learned from it, and it's about helping you not just like get through the next month, but it's about creating legacy business for yourself.
But I can tell you that you are mission focused. I know you're purpose focused, and I can tell you that every loan officer that I've communicated with that's been part of your platform has been a raving fan.
This is the Next Level Loan Officers Podcast, a proud founding member of the Real Disrupt Podcast Collaborative. You can check out more awesome podcasts at realdisrupt.com. And now, Kenneth Travis and Sean Zalmanoff.
What's up, everyone? I want to welcome you to this episode of the Next Level Loan Officers Podcast. I am back with the Meet the Coaches series that we are doing here on the podcast. First up, we had Sean, and now we have Shane Kidwell. Shane, how you doing, brother?
What up, dude? How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Let's see you're nice and smiley, all geared up, ready to go.
Man, I'm caffeinated. That's the key. That's the key for me. Caffeination.
Nice. It's the word of the podcast is caffeinated, right? So, just to catch everyone up, if you didn't catch the earlier series or the first episode in the series of Meet the Coaches, what we wanted to do is from my standpoint, is I get to hear these guys talk to everybody and talk about them and not the coaches, but the guests. But this is the Next Level Loan Officers Podcast, and I think everyone needs to understand how skilled and the expertise that these coaches have, and how they're helping the community of Next Level. And it's something that I've got to experience this year. It's been great. Definitely something that I highly recommend you guys checking out. So we wanted to get the insight of each one of the coaches, so you guys can really understand what their expertise is, what drives them, their passion. Also understanding that this is one of the few coaching groups out there that are run by active producers, people that are in the trenches and originating at a very high level. And that's every member of Next Level that I talk to. That's the biggest selling point, is the fact that it's not like, well, I heard this or this is a theory, but it's like Shane's like, well, I did this today and this is the results. So that's what I love about that. So Shane, for those that don't really know much about your backstory and how you got into this business, why don't we go back down memory lane and take us through the journey?
Yeah, first off, thank you, Jason, for having me on, dude. I actually met you on a podcast, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And so I always encourage everybody, man, you just got to reach out to people and then we had coffee just a few weeks ago and in person. And man, it's funny how much we are similar. And so I always encourage people, when you hear something that you gravitate towards, take an action. So if I wouldn't have taken that action, we would never be here today. So I just thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, awesome.
And secondly, when you said that we're in the trenches working, that means we're tired as hell right now. So let's be honest. If we say we're all in the trenches working, it means we're getting our asses kicked right now in a really good way. But no, thank you for having me on. My story started back in 2009. I was a full-time fireman. It was my dream growing up to be a fireman. I was like an explorer in high school. I went to college, University of Washington. Didn't really know what I wanted to do. Felt like I had this idea in life, and then you go to college, you get kind of knocked around. I became a volunteer fireman, making $6 a call. So every time we went on, so we hoped and prayed people got hurt so we could go on a call and get paid $6. It's deplorable.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So fast forward 2009, I hurt myself on the job. Hurt my back really, really bad, and I'm kind of freaking out. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I need something to fall back on, because what do I do outside of this? Because firemen aren't really trained for other industries. It's a very unique skill set.
Yeah.
And I met a buddy who was a broker, and he's like, oh man, you should be a lender. You make great money. You don't have to work very much. Back in the heyday when guys were making 3, 4, 5 points on a deal with no docs, no income, no assets. Yeah. And I'm like, well, that sounds pretty interesting, actually. Who wouldn't, right?
Yeah.
So I put myself through the licensing, and this was right when everything was changing. It was right after the fall, like the crash of the market. MLS was coming out. And it was a very unique time to jump into the business. And I jumped in, and people were like, why are you getting into this business now? All the people who are the old timers were like, I'm getting out, man. Like, what are you thinking? This business is going away. And I'm like, I hear half my competition going away overnight. I'm in. Yeah. Like, that sounds like a right playing field. So fast forward, for the first 6 years, I was part-time originating, full-time fireman. And I started building my business even part-time. And I always had a rule that I would never tell any of my referral partners that I was a fireman, because I didn't want them to have the competition have a leg up on me. To be like, well, you should call Shane. He's not available. He's a fireman. So for me, I built everything out of desperation, truthfully. It wasn't like I had this grand master plan of how I was going to do it. I would do something and say, boy, it sure be nice if somebody could pick up that phone for me while I'm gone. Got a dialing service. Boy, it sure be nice if I had somebody that could look at credit reports and like pre-approve somebody when I'm out doing CPR. Because I was working at the busiest station on the West Coast. And I mean, I was the new guy and I was slammed. And I was literally going 24 hours, come home, shower, put my suit on, go to the office. But I started to grow my business. And in 2016, August of 2016, so it'll be 4 years next month, I decided to go out on my own, retire from the fire department after 12 years, and just see what I can make of this business. Now, I didn't do that on my own. Let's be clear. I had a coach that was kicking me in the rear saying, hey, man, this last year part-time, you did like 20-something million. You were a top 1% originator working part-time. Like, what could you do if you actually had all of your energy focused on this? What could it become? What do you like more? Do you like firefighting more or the loan officer business? And I'm like, well, I like being an entrepreneur. I don't really like looking at a 1003, not because I don't understand it. It's just boring.
Yeah,
I feel like I was a CPA. I like the marketing, the branding. And so fast forward now, I built my own brand, and I've got, several locations. As of this call, the team's on pace to do about 400 million this year. Nice. And, obviously Next Level came about through coaching. So I ran into these other guys several years ago at a coaching event. And the difference between them and other people that I knew in my industry, because there's a lot of big dogs up in the Washington area from a loan perspective. A lot of top producers nationwide are here. None of them would share anything. Yeah. So I'm like this new guy, no database, don't have a clue what I'm doing, don't understand what an FHA loan means, and no one would share anything. You go to a coaching group, the right ones with the right people, and they're sharing everything because you're not their competition. And so I met these guys. That really exploded my business, gave me clarity and focus on what to do, how to do it better. So it's like, if everybody's slogging in traffic, I get on this express lane with no cars, like the toll lane. And I just get on that toll lane with no cars and I'm shooting down the road, passing all these cars. And that's really what I felt like I did. So last 4 years, I've been a top 1% originator. I have an amazing team now of 3 that really supports my business. I have an insurance company. I have a multifamily investment company, Next Level, and this, and I'm super thankful and just super blessed. So I think that's the story of me in a nutshell.
Yeah, and that's great. And one thing that I think, because in fact, this morning I was just reading in a Facebook group about a new loan officer saying, hey, I only close this amount of loans. Where do I get leads? And that, to me, I think that's the wrong mindset, is where do I go to get leads? Right. As opposed, and these questions are kind of open-ended, because to me, I was like, well, have you dissected how you got those 3 loans and closed them to see if there's any repeatable actions in that? And since I joined Next Level, at the beginning of the year, like I start thinking about that stuff more than just from listening to you guys talk. But I think what's important is when someone's choosing someone to learn from, I think that's so important that you brought up the fact that nobody shares anything. A lot of people keep their cards close to the vest. It's more of a scarcity mindset as an abundance mindset, whereas coaching is all about abundance. It's all about helping each other be the best we can. Because look, guys, there's gonna be plenty of business for everyone, for the right people, right? The people that choose to grow this business. And the fact that you built it from scratch, and you guys just heard what Shane has built from nothing without knowing anything. If he did it, so can you, as long as you have the right path to go. And so speaking of the business you built, let's talk a little bit about Dwell. Let's talk about, how that came about, the name and the type of business and the culture and everything that you've built with Dwell.
Yeah, when I worked at a couple of the bigger correspondent lenders. So I actually started as a broker, kind of slogged my way through rate sheets and overlays and guidelines, went into the correspondent world. Yep. And let me be really clear. There's no right or wrong platform. There's just the wrong platform for you, right? Yep. So you got to find the right platform for you. And for me, the right platform included building my own brand. So I created my own brand. It's a DBA. And it's done in such a way where it's really forward facing. And Dwell came about, one day I was sitting down with one of my loan officers who, like, I look at these people like my business partners and like family, like they help me make decisions. And that's really important. And we were coming up with names, and I had this idea of a tree in my head. And then I heard a sermon where a pastor shared about the redwoods. And I had actually gone to the Redwoods many years ago. I really was struggling in life. I was a burned out fireman. I was drinking way too much, just making bad decisions. Just my brain was fried. My heart was fried. I was done with life. And I decided I wanted to take a drive from Washington to California with my dog. I drove to the Redwoods and I stayed in like the seediest $30 a night motels. Like this was not a planned trip.
Yeah.
And when I went down there, and I had gone there as a kid after my dad passed away. And I remembered these trees were almost like dinosaurs. They're almost otherworldly. And the story about the redwoods that this pastor had shared was how their structure is. So if you understand the redwood, tallest trees, I think maybe in the world, other than like one tree in China.
Yeah.
And they have the shallowest root structure. And so you're like, well, how does this tall, massive tree that you can drive a car through not fall over? Because the wind and the storms down in Northern California can be brutal. Well, it's because they interweave their root structure with other sequoias, other redwoods. I thought, man, that is such a cool analogy of like what we do here. Like, I am the type of guy where if I go out and I do great business, but I do it by myself, I'm not having fun. I'd rather participate with others and make more money. And that's the sequoia tree. That's the redwood. Doing things together is always stronger than doing it on your own. And so Dwell came about because I thought about our dwelling place and how important it is to have a dwelling place that you can call a home, where you're at peace, where you feel safe. Growing up, having my dad pass away, getting ripped out of the home my dad built, I didn't have a safe dwelling place. And so I thought Dwell is a little different. It's a lowercase d, not an uppercase D, because we're different and we're okay not being like everyone else. Yep. So the reality is, it wasn't like I just got a house like everybody else and it was like the blank team with a house logo like everybody does. There was a ton of meaning and intentionality behind that. We've got an amazing team of different support groups to scale our business. And that's one of the things we really believe in here is any technology, any system, any strategy, any like logistical group of people that are going to like LOAs, processors. If you can't scale it, we don't do it. So if it's like, well, hey, I have one LOA for 9 people. Well, you can't scale that. So we have 5 LOAs for 9 people and they round robin and they move quicker. And so, you know, you had said something before that made me think of a word, and the word is tactical. We're really tactical here at Dwell. We know what we are. We know what we're not. If somebody wants to make 200 bips a deal, do everything on their own, not have calls where we get together and rally together, that's just not who we are. Yep. We're going to take a little bit of a pay cut, have really smoking good rates, have a ton of marketing and branding, and we're going to push ourselves out there to attract the right audience. And through that, we make more money because we focus on dollar per hour, not dollar per unit.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the one thing that I think everyone should be focused on right now is the difference factor. And I posted a little bit about this last night on LinkedIn about the commodity side of our business. Right. And if I talk about value prop, people are going to say, oh, pricing and serve the same crap and you cannot have a value prop that's the same as everybody else. The value prop of everything is value prop of nothing, right? It just doesn't work that way. And so that's why I like where you talked about, we know who we are and we know who we aren't, and we're okay to be different, because I think that's important. You can't stand out by being the same as everything else, and you can't be everything to everybody, right? And so I think by focusing on that, on the culture, saying, hey, if you want to do this, then that's great and wish you well, but that's not us. And so that's what I love about that. And before I get into my next question, those that are watching the YouTube video, you obviously could probably see it, hopefully in the background. In the podcast, I'm listening, but Shane has a picture in his back with it's lion amongst a bunch of sheep, right? So lion, not sheep, is something that especially this year that a lot of people are hearing about. So love that you have that in your office. And one of the reasons why I think, I get along so well with Shane and why we vibe is just because of that mentality, which takes me to my next question is, what drives you? What is your driver?
I think that, for me, there's a motivating factor that comes like deep within my heart. And it normally starts from experiences you have as a child, good or bad. Yep. Like if you had a great childhood, you're like, man, I want to be able to do for my kids what I had as a kid. Or I had a crappy childhood, I want to change that for my kids. Yep. And so I think that a lot of stuff in your life goes back to your childhood. And for me, it does. My dad was an amazing guy. Like we were the American family, 2 sons, a mom and a dad. My mom was able to stay at home with us. Like we went to church 2 times. And we were like the atypical, it's like the Wonder Years, right? Yeah. And before they all like got bad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then my dad died suddenly from cancer. And my dad was 6'3", big dude, created an airline called Horizon Air with two of his friends, was an entrepreneur, larger than life.
Yep.
And when you're 7, you have that ripped away. It had a dramatic impact on my life. I got into trouble as a kid. I was angry.
Yep.
I was insecure. I didn't know what to do. And so that was a juxtaposition of this amazing life, growing up, having missionaries come to our home, seeing people from all over the world, to having like everything ripped away and having to move from the home my dad built to a completely different city. My driver is that I have just such a desire and a passion to be able to break that like generational curse of having my father pass away. And so I don't do it for the money. The money's great. Like right now, if you're not making good money, you're just not doing it right. Because everybody's making money right now.
Exactly.
But the money is what is probably the least important thing. I want to do well for my people. And now that I've grown a team, I get so much enjoyment in helping other people be successful. You know, we had a saying last year that was, it's your best year every year. Mm-hmm. And if you make every year your best year, think about how many people you can impact. And so if every one of my staff has their best year every year, everyone is impacted positively. And so I think overall, that's my driving factor. It's making sure that like I take the resources that I've been provided and I give them back to others. I'm a good steward with that. And I'm blessed because of it. And so like, I can't sit here and act like I don't have a blessed life. I absolutely do. But I had a ton of struggle and a ton of challenge, dark days where I thought, you know, I was going to get divorced. I mean, just, you know, there's no straight line to success. And I think that's what people, they see you at the end and they go, oh, that one must have been pretty easy. Or, oh, this kid, you know, was brought up with a family business or whatever. I didn't have any of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, you know, to your point is like that image that you probably see on social media of the iceberg, right? You see the top iceberg, you don't see the bottom of the struggle and the late hours and everything else to get to that point. And a lot of people gloss over that. And, you know, also I think what everyone should be thinking about, you know, as Shane talked about being blessed, is that when Shane said, look, this is like record years for lenders, for loan officers, but think about this year. Think about, everyone thinks 2020, and they're rightfully so, that it's just one of the worst years ever, right? Like there's a lot of crap happening. How blessed are we to be in an industry that really hasn't had too much? I mean, yeah, we went through a couple of rough months, but even with that, we were still doing business, right? Like we're one of the few industries that have literally almost been, you know, untouched by everything else going on as far as like losing customers. And look, I'm sure some markets and whatnot are like that. Not everything's the same, but I mean, we are blessed to be in this industry, and because we are still doing what we do, and everyone is having a good amount of success with everything that's going on right now. And which shifts me to talk about Next Level a little bit. And so, you know, as you guys are going to find out, we've already talked to Sean, and we'll be talking to Kellen and KT as well. But speaking about Next Level, because, you know, it's a great group of coaches. And what I love about that is everyone has their own focus in the group and what they like, what they specialize in. So what is your focus? The Next Level, what is your focus as a coach? What do you like to teach and talk about and coach on? I know you touch all aspects, obviously, but what is your real focus within the group?
I think that and we all touch on how to build teams, how to, you know, I mean, there's so many different areas, and if you're only good at one thing, you're going to be unsuccessful in your business.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think for me, it's unfiltered authenticity, funneled into a strong personal brand. Mm-hmm. And that can be done through social media. It can be done through face-to-face marketing, agent classes. At the end of the day, I'm unapologetically who I am. And I wasn't that way growing up. I tried to be everything for everyone. And I got so tired having to put on a different mascot hat every time I asked somebody what they wanted me to be. It's like I met an agent who said, and we were struggling on these deals. And I'm like, tell me more about what you say to the listing agent. And he goes, I just asked the listing agent what they want us to do for the deal. And that's what I tell them we'll do. I'm like, that's the worst idea I've ever heard. Hey, I want you to tell me, Jason, what you want me to be, and then I'll change everything about myself to be what you want.
Yeah.
It's unauthentic and it's exhausting. And so for me, I really focus on peeling back the layers to understand who you really are. What do you enjoy? What makes you tick? I love coffee. I love wearing my hat backwards. Like I see all these guys doing it now. I've been wearing my hat backwards for years. Like I just don't care. Like if you don't like the fact that I can wear a nice dress shirt with a hat on backwards, then you just don't understand who I am. And that's perfectly okay with me.
Yep.
I've created a filter, and I teach my guys and gals how to create a filter to filter out the people who don't want to be around you for who you are. Then you got to take that and be a brand. And it's so important to be your brand, not your company's brand, not your industry segment's brand. Like, and it's great to be a bank, a correspondent lender, a broker, but you're not just a broker, right? You're not just a bank. Like you're not just a large, fill in the blank alphabet company. You're who you are, what makes you tick, and then build a massive brand around that. And it's not expensive. We're talking $6 coffee mugs, $20 hats. We're talking pens. We're talking caricatures. It's fun because loans are boring. Nobody wants to get no one wants to get a mortgage.
Exactly.
Unless they're like, a CPA and they're like, well, Jason, I can, take this money at 3% and I can convert it into 12% interest and I can make profit. That's like 1%. Everybody else is like, I got to get a mortgage to get my home. Well, if they don't enjoy our industry as a whole, we've got to make it fun. Yep. If I make it fun and memorable, and that's what your brand is, then people will come back to me and it's easier to get them back to me. It's like throwing a fishing hook in a pond where the trout are jumping out of the pond. It's easy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's something that I like to say all the time. And I heard Barry say this a couple years ago for the first time, is saying, hey, guess what? Nobody wakes up in the morning saying, I want a mortgage. No one wakes up saying, I want to be hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. I want to go through a painstaking documentation, ripping apart my financial and credit profile for 30 days. Nobody wakes up saying they want to do that. And that's our industry. And for some reason, our marketing and what we try to put out there is like, oh yeah, everyone loves that. Now, the strength is that they need what we have. And that's what we should be focusing on, is the need. And, as far as how we're delivering and the experience and all that stuff, but also understanding at the end of the day, we should be focusing, not just on the need, but on the want. The want is the house, is the dream, is the goals, and all that other good stuff. And that's important to know. And that will help with your marketing. It can't just be about what we think or what we feel the consumer needs. It's what the consumer wants. And that's what we need to be talking about. So I love the fact that you brought that up. And, taking your focus as a coach and being, who you are and the brand and the marketing and all that good stuff, making it fun experience, that obviously leads me to talk about the next level difference, right? So, talking with the guys and having personally experienced other coaching groups, like the Core and others, just the name one, but what do you like about what you guys have created with Next Level? What's the difference in the group?
I think there's a bunch. I think the first thing that everybody says to us when they come to our events, because what we'll say is, I'll say, Jason, you can come to my event, and if you don't get more value than you've given us in payment, I'll refund your money on the spot. We have never had anybody ever ask for a refund. We're so authentic and unfiltered. We just shoot straight and we give them the truth. And it's so hard because half of your day you're spent wondering, am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? What are people going to think? So you're bouncing back and forth really with no clear understanding of what to do. We cut through all the BS and we get right to like the top 5 things you should be doing right now. We get right through, and we'll tell you what doesn't work. It's great to say you should make 100 calls every Monday. Well, great. That might work for some people, but it doesn't work for everyone. And if it's a 1% return and I can get you a 10% return doing something different in the same amount of time, would you do it? So we cut through all the BS and tell you what doesn't work for us, and we're all different. I'm in Seattle. KT's in the middle of bum F nowhere, Texas. I think it's in the U.S. Kellen's in Dallas, a big growing metropolitan. Sean's in St. Louis. I think that's like East Coast. Everybody's different, right? Yeah. So we come with different experiences. And our other coaches, Jeff Lagoni, Alan. I mean, Alan's in like Georgia and he closes loans on his Harley. Yep. So every coach is so different. We cut through the BS. We're honest. We're all still actively producing, which means we're receiving the pains and the blessings from the industry currently. Like you can kick a rock and find a refi. That's not the hard part. How do you close it? Yeah. How do you fulfill your obligation to the consumer? We're going through that. So I think that would be one thing. And I'll tell you a quick story on that. We had an event And again, we're not event planners. We're originators that happen to put on an event.
Yeah.
We had an event and we had a text message that went out saying we started at 8:30. Well, shoot, we started at 9. This dude rolls up to me livid. It's 8:31. What the heck are we doing? Why aren't we starting? Dude in my face. And I'm a big dude. I'm like, this guy's getting squirrely on me. And I look him in the eye and said, if you'd like your money back right now, I'll give it to you. We are starting at 9. Here's why we're starting at 9. I apologize if you got, so I just take ownership, have a direct conversation, and we make an agreement. I say, if you don't think that you're going to get your value, I'll refund your money by midday, day 1. And then I come back to him midday and he's like, you guys are blowing my mind. This is unbelievable. End of day 1. Hey, how are we doing? You guys, this is unbelievable. Like, and then by the end of day 2, we're going out to dinner together. We're laughing. He's an amazing guy. He's a tactician. That's what we do. We just give more value than we take in payment. And we do it with things that are relevant, currently working, and currently not working in the market today. And we built a massive fraternity of like-minded people that all share, all contribute, all give back.
Yeah. And, and I could say this from someone that has experienced, a couple events now and seeing what happens and seeing the interaction. And that's what's great about Next Level is everyone that is a part of it that I've been able to talk to and break bread with and hang out with are just good people, right? There's not, and usually when you get in groups of people, not everyone's the same, and you got to some people that maybe kind of douchey or something like that. But that isn't Next Level. And I think because you guys what you put out there, you attract the people that you want to attract, and you repel the people that you want to repel, right? And not everyone's like that. And one thing that I'll say is when it comes to coaching and what I saw. Because I've been in masterminds, I've been in coaching calls, I've been in coaching meetings, and nobody likes to be held really accountable, right? Nobody likes to say you're doing it wrong, or nobody likes to really be told the truth when it comes down to it, right? They want it, they think they need it, but we all take offense, right? Even if we're coachable, there's a little bit about that. And so sometimes when I see someone saying, well, I was going to do this, or I'm trying to do that, but I don't want to do this stuff. And it's like, well, you're basically talking yourself out of doing it. And one thing that I noticed, I think this was at the first mastermind in Vegas, was I can't remember who it was, but they said it, not that I would say his name anyway, but he said something, and I was expecting like more of a well, hey man, I get that, but you just got to power through. And the response instead was like, well, then what are you doing here? Like, why are you doing that? If then don't do it, and then don't talk about it. And I think it may have been Kellen or someone, but that's look, if you want to be coached, you got to be coachable, and you got to be held accountable, right? That's a lot of it. And it's something that I'm, learning personally with my own journey. But that's the thing, is that like, you got to have that in you to really, otherwise coaching isn't going to help. If you're going to get the advice, you're going to get the expertise, you're going to pay the money, but if you're not going to act on it, then you're really just wasting it. And that's what I think the next level difference is giving more value than what you get in payment, but then just being true and real with everybody and authentic. We're not here to be your best friend. We're here to help you succeed, and we'll create a great community and friendship because of that, because we're all rowing in the same direction, which I love. And which takes me into our last couple questions. And this is, I think is really important as you're listening to this. What should, as a loan originator right now, what should their focus be as they finish up 2020 and go into 2021?
I think first and foremost, you've got to have a powerful mindset, because like I joked, one of my guys said to me yesterday, he goes, Shane, you're like Chuck Norris. You beat COVID. Like and the reason he said that is because this has been the best 6 months of my career and my life. I'm the healthiest I've ever been. I lost 20 pounds. I'm building my business the way I want it to be built with the right people, but that's not because of the environment around me. It's in spite of that. Right. Yep. And I think that's really important for people to understand, is it doesn't matter what you do. If you do it with a weak mind, you're going to lose.
Yep.
And I was coached, by several amazing people, Satema, David Goggins, all about being direct with yourself, speaking a powerful message to yourself, and not allowing the haters to have any place in your mind. Yep. Right. And so when the haters think they've won the game, I laugh, because we haven't even started the first quarter. Yep. So it's all about having this inner confidence, not cockiness, confidence. Yep. And then doing what you say you're going to do. That's number one. Number two, I think it's really important to be over communicating. Be honest. If it's going to take you 70 days to close a refi, you need to say it's going to take 70 plus days to close a refi.
Yep.
If you explain the what is happening, why it's happening, and how you're going to solve it, the what, the why, and the how, the right people don't care. Hey, the reason it's going to take 70 days is for the following reason. That's why you're getting such an amazing rate. It's the biggest refi boom in the history of our country. I've never seen rates this low. And I'm looking at a chart right now, Bobby, John, Stevie. And this is why it's going to take 70 days. Here's what we're going to do to navigate the process. I think it's really important to do the what, the why, and the how. If you do that every time and you're honest and you're direct, your consumers don't care. Because half of what people are doing right now is reacting to the negativity of disappointment that their clients have because they were too scared to tell them up front the truth. Like, and if you think you're the only one going through it, everyone is in the same ecosystem. We're all going through it. There's not enough staff. There's not enough good, efficient technology. There's not enough hours in the day. Your staff are overworked and overwhelmed for a myriad of reasons. That's what we're all living in. Be honest about it. And number 3, use systems to scale yourself. Have an amazing CRM. I've been blessed to have met Kevin Ducey with Whiteboard and Brian with Whiteboard CRM. They do an incredible job of utilizing a system specific to your industry to scale your communication. We use, I've been blessed to know Dave Savage and use Mortgage Coach. Barry Habib, use MBS Highway. I have tools, BombBomb. Like we have these amazing relationships with people to scale who you are so you can be one person working on 40 deals or 50 deals or 100 deals. And I think that's really important. Powerful mind, really honest, proactive communication, and scalability. And and here's the beauty of all of those things. That's going to help you crush it in any market. It doesn't matter what the weather is outside. If you do those 3 things, you're going to win no matter what happens in the industry.
Yeah, it's true. And the one thing, look, I, from my experience, the setting expectations part is the biggest killer for loan officers. You create so much more problems for yourself than if you just are straight up with everyone, let them know how the process is going to be. Look, and I'm telling you, like as a former executive, I have literally been on the phone at midnight talking to agents because the branch manager didn't want to do it. The loan officer didn't want to do it. The regional didn't want to do it. The head of sales didn't want to do it. And I talked to agents to talk them off the ledge of just destroying us on social media because no one wanted to set expectations. Now that's the problem. I'm the last person in the company that should have to do that. You got to take ownership over what you're doing. And look, nobody wants to have uncomfortable conversations. I get it. Like nobody wants to make that call to the agent saying that we're going to be delayed a little bit, or, hey, just to let you know, I did everything I could to just get your business, but I'm not fulfilling my promise on the other end. Right. And this is the reason why. And so look, and I've talked to thousands of agents from San Francisco to New York City. And I'll tell you, all of them will say the biggest hang up they have with lenders is the communication piece. 100%. It's not even a question. And so I hope you guys took what Shane said because it's all gold and it all absolutely will help you grow. So before we finish up, we have our speed round and it's just add a little fun to it. And we start off with Sean. So basically I'm going to ask Shane here in one word to describe each one of the coaches. So here we go. We're going to start with Sean Zalmanoff.
Boy, strategic.
Kellen.
Polished.
And then KT.
Chihuahua.
No, what's funny is everyone picks on KT.
Dude, listen. No, you know what? It's so funny. KT and I are so alike that we always we butt heads the most, but we have so much love for each other, and I respect that man tremendously. I'd say this: Kellen is a guy where, man, that dude he's that Southern gentleman. Everything he does with intention and purpose. He never gets too high or too low. Yeah. And there's a really valuable lesson to learn from a guy like that. Sean is just very strategic, very tactical. Like he's not going to use the emotion to drive his decisions. And there's good and bad with that. Ken and I are like, man, if we're wronged, we're going to go sit in the alley and duke it out. And, and again, there's no right or wrong. Be you, embrace who you are. These guys are like my brothers. And I love these guys. It's just been so fun. I never would have thought, Jason, 4 years ago, probably a month from today, I would be retiring from my dream job. Yeah. I applied with 4,500 people for 20 jobs. And to go from that to now having these amazing friendships with people all over the country that are just the most authentic, hardworking, loyal friends I've ever met, that's what coaching has done for me. And I think that you take all the other stuff aside, you got to have people that are in your corner of the ring, man, no matter what you're doing. And these guys all do.
Awesome. Yeah, no, and I agree. And it's so funny when you said about Kellen, I picture in my head that out of everybody, if like car had no brakes, going down the hill on fire, one wheel off of the car, Kellen be like, all right, we'll get there. Like, it'll be all right. Like Kellen's going to be the one staying calm.
Hello, everyone. Please take your seat. Put your seatbelts on. Like, that's Kellen, which I respect the guy because he doesn't allow the emotion to dictate his action.
Yeah. No.
Awesome.
And dude, thank you so much for taking time to do this, because I thought it was important, because not everyone gets to see this, right? They get to see you guys at a live event, and if they're smart enough to join TPH and be coached and have the masterminds, no one gets to see that. And I think it's important because I get to see it all the time. And it, to me, even though I'm not an originator, it drives me. Like, it drives me doing, we did the last, Next Level podcast about me doing 75 hard. And I told Sean, like, part of the driver of that was me being around these guys, because fitness was a thing, and seeing that and seeing how it really is a complete package for not just your mind, but for your body. And so it's changed me. I've seen the change in the members that are part of the coaching group. I see what they're doing. I see them executing. And so I think it's important to use this podcast so that you guys could get a taste of that. And on that, Next Level does have an app that you can download. You have to text Next Level to 36260. Again, Next Level to 36260. Download the app, but go to nextlevello.com and you could schedule an interview. You could schedule a one-on-one to just get an idea if this is right for you. And like, Shane said about other stuff, there's never a perfect anything. It's just the perfect match, right? And if it works for you, fantastic. And there's plenty of loan officers out there that you could get recommendations from and reviews to know that what they talk about works, right? So highly recommend you guys check them out. I know I'm better in this industry for knowing these guys, especially, with the conversations I've had with Shane. And look, I don't want you guys to miss out. This is the time to do it, right? This is the time, even though everyone's busy, this is the time to double down and create a legacy for yourself in business. And Shane didn't just stop at just, hey, I'm going to do loans until I'm done. Shane's actually created a legacy for his family by just branching out, using what he's doing as an originator, as a hub, and spoking out to create other businesses and other revenue streams to really just create something cool for himself and his family, and not just that, but for his work family that he's built for them as well. So, Shane, brother, again, thank you for taking time out of the day. Thank you for kicking down some knowledge to everyone, and I know I got a lot out of it, and I know the audience did as well, my friend.
Thank you, man. Be blessed, everybody. Be safe, and we'll see each other soon.
All right, guys, this is a wrap on the second episode of Meet the Coaches. We got KT and Kellen coming up. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you enjoyed this series. And guess what? If you enjoyed and got any value out of this podcast, share it. Share out this episode. Subscribe, give us a 5-star review. Let us know how we're doing. It helps grow our community. It helps grow the message, because maybe you thought something, you took a nugget from this and like, hey man, this is actually going to change my business. This is all for free. It didn't cost you anything. Just cost you a little bit of your time to learn something. Take that and share it with others, and not just this one, but any episode. Subscribe, check us out, be part of the Next Level family. Till next time, my name is Jason Frazier, and I hope you have an awesome day. Take care.
See you guys.